I want you to visualize the exact life that society, your teachers, and your parents promised you when you were a child. You were told a very specific, very convincing story. Get good grades, keep your head down, secure a safe job with a reputable company, save 10% of your income, buy a house with a 30-year mortgage, and one day, when your hair is gray and your bones are tired, you will finally be allowed to enjoy the fruits of your labor. You were sold the blueprint of the average life, and like millions of others, you accepted it without question. But as you open your eyes and look around at the world today, a cold, unsettling realization begins to wash over you. The people following this exact blueprint are not financially free. They are exhausted, stressed, buried under mountains of debt, and quietly panicking about their futures. They are living paycheck to paycheck, trading the most vibrant, energetic years of their lives for a salary that barely keeps pace with the silent, relentless thief known as inflation. This is the profound awakening at the heart of Julian Vance's groundbreaking and unapologetically raw book, Why Average People Never Get Rich. Before Vance became a self-made multimillionaire, a sought-after global wealth strategist, and a mentor to thousands, he was the absolute embodiment of the system's perfect citizen. He was a mid-level corporate accountant, sitting in a windowless cubicle under harsh, soul-draining fluorescent lights, crunching numbers for wealthy clients while his own bank account hovered perilously close to zero. Vance spent a decade auditing the lives of both the financially desperate and the unimaginably wealthy. And it was in those ledgers that he discovered a terrifying truth. The financial system is not broken. It is functioning exactly as it was designed. It was designed to keep the middle class comfortably numb. Just fed enough to keep working, but just hungry enough to never stop. Vance realized that the rules of wealth taught to the masses are fundamentally flawed, intentionally diluted, and designed to produce obedient workers, not independent thinkers. He walked away from his safe career, broke every conventional rule he was ever taught, and built an empire by doing the exact opposite of what the average person does. His journey from a financially suffocated employee to a master of wealth creation forms the beating heart of this narrative, serving as a glaring mirror for anyone who dares to ask why their hard work isn't making them rich. The very first and perhaps most vital lesson Vance shatters over the reader's head is what he calls the trap of acceptable mediocrity. We are biologically wired and socially conditioned to seek safety in the herd, to look at our neighbors, our co-workers, and our friends, and gauge our own success by their standards. If everyone around us is complaining about their boss, dreading Monday mornings, carrying credit card debt, and living for the fleeting escape of the weekend, we subconsciously accept this as the baseline of human existence. Vance explains that wealth is completely allergic to the average mindset, because to become wealthy, you must be willing to become an outlier, a freak, an anomaly who refuses to participate in the collective delusion of normalcy. Consider the story of Arthur, a brilliant, hard-working middle manager Vance writes about. Arthur did everything flawlessly according to the traditional script. He stayed late at the office, never took a sick day, faithfully contributed to his 401k, and drove a sensible, depreciating car. Yet, when his company merged with a larger conglomerate, Arthur was coldly terminated with a severance package that barely covered 3 months of his living expenses. Arthur was devastated, not just because he lost his income, but because he realized he had outsourced his financial security, his family's future, and his very identity to a corporation that viewed him merely as an easily erasable line item on a spreadsheet. Arthur's tragedy was not that he didn't work hard. His tragedy was that he worked phenomenally hard at an average strategy. The practical application here is as brutal as it is liberating. You must immediately audit your environment and your expectations. If your financial strategies, your daily habits, and your conversations mirror those of the people around you, and the people around you are not financially free, you are sprinting confidently toward a cliff. You must stop seeking permission from average people to pursue extraordinary goals, and you must become completely comfortable with being misunderstood. As this realization settles deep into your mind, creating an undeniable discomfort, it naturally transitions us into Vance's second mind-bending paradigm shift: the myth of the virtuous saver. For generations, the middle class has worshipped at the altar of the savings account, believing that hoarding pennies in a bank vault is the ultimate path to wealth. But Vance pulls back the curtain to reveal the dark mathematics of this illusion. In a world of fiat currency and rampant, engineered inflation, your money is literally melting like an ice cube left out in the summer sun. The bank pays you 1% interest, while the cost of housing, food, and energy rises by 7 to 10% annually. Saving your way to wealth in today's economy is like trying to walk up a downward escalator. No matter how fast you step, you are mathematically guaranteed to lose ground. To illustrate this, Vance tells the powerful fable of two farmers facing a long, harsh winter. The first farmer, paralyzed by the fear of starvation, locks all of his seeds in a dark, secure vault. He guards them fiercely, eating only the bare minimum, watching his stockpile slowly dwindle as the years pass. The second farmer, feeling the exact same fear, makes a terrifying but necessary choice. He takes a portion of his precious seeds out of the safe vault and buries them in the cold, uncertain dirt. He exposes them to the risks of weather, pests, and failure. But when the harvest season inevitably arrives, the first farmer is left staring at an empty vault, while the second farmer has an abundant, overflowing crop that feeds his family for generations. The seeds, Vance explains, are your capital, your time, and your energy. The average person is the first farmer, terrified of losing their money, so they lock it in a bank where it is guaranteed to slowly die. The wealthy person is the second farmer, who understands that money is a seed meant to be planted in assets, businesses, and investments that multiply over time. The practical application of this lesson requires a total rewiring of how you view money. You must stop seeing every dollar as something to be hoarded or spent on liabilities, and start seeing every single dollar as an employee, a soldier in your financial army whose sole purpose is to go out into the market, capture other dollars, and bring them back to you. You must transition your identity from a consumer of goods to an owner of assets. When you walk into a coffee shop, you shouldn't just think about buying the coffee. Your mind should immediately begin wondering who owns the building, how the supply chain functions, and what the profit margins are. This shift from a consumer mindset to a producer mindset is incredibly challenging because it requires you to actively suppress the immediate gratification that society constantly shoves in your face. It requires you to look at a new car not as a symbol of success, but as a depreciating liability that is robbing your future self of financial freedom. And as you grapple with this fundamental shift, as you feel the friction between the life you are living and the life you are destined for, you must confront the most terrifying, invisible barrier of all. A barrier that exists entirely within the confines of your own skull. You see, realizing that the system is rigged and that saving is a myth is only the intellectual half of the battle. The true war, the one that leaves millions of brilliant, capable people completely broke, is the emotional war fought against your own deeply ingrained psychology, leading us directly into the dark, hidden corridors of what Vance calls the identity ceiling. But as we cross the threshold into the deeper psychological warfare of wealth creation, we must confront the absolute, uncompromising truth that investing your money is completely useless if you are simultaneously sabotaging yourself with an impoverished mind. In the second half of his masterwork, Vance delves into the invisible psychological chains that bind the middle class, beginning with the terrifying concept of the comfort zone tax. The average person does not fail to get rich because they lack intelligence, or because the universe is plotting against them. They fail because human beings are biologically engineered to prioritize comfort over freedom. We are designed to seek the path of least resistance, to find a warm, safe cave and stay there. Vance argues that the modern cave is the steady, predictable paycheck. The moment an average person secures a salary that covers their basic needs and allows for a 2-week vacation once a year, their brain releases a flood of dopamine that shuts down their ambition. They begin paying the comfort zone tax, a massive, invisible penalty exacted upon their future wealth simply because they refuse to step into the unknown. Consider the profoundly tragic story of Sarah, a brilliantly creative marketing executive whom Vance mentored. Sarah had a revolutionary idea for a software platform that could have disrupted her entire industry. She spent her weekends sketching out the business plan, her eyes alight with the fire of genuine passion. But every Monday morning, she returned to her secure $90,000 a year job. Month after month, year after year, she told herself she would launch her business when the time was right, when she had just a little more saved, when the economy was a bit more stable. 15 years passed in a blink. Sarah never launched her company, but she watched in quiet, soul-crushing agony as a 22-year-old college dropout executed her exact idea and sold it for $50 million. Sarah wasn't lacking genius. She was paralyzed by comfort. Her steady salary was the most addictive drug on the planet, an anesthetic that numbed the pain of her dying dreams. The practical application of this harrowing lesson is that you must intentionally engineer discomfort into your daily life. You cannot wait for the perfect moment, because the perfect moment is a mythological concept invented by cowards to justify their inaction. You must train your brain to associate comfort with danger and discomfort with growth. Start a side business while you are exhausted. Pitch a high-ticket client when you feel unqualified. Invest in an asset when it makes your stomach turn. Wealth is forged in the fires of uncertainty, and if you are not routinely terrified by your own ambitions, your ambitions are pathetically small. This emotional revelation forces us to look in the mirror and face an even deeper psychological block: the identity ceiling. Vance reveals that every single human being has an internal financial thermostat, a subconscious belief about exactly how much money they are worth. If your internal thermostat is set to $60,000 a year, and you miraculously win the lottery or land a massive business deal, your subconscious mind will view this excess wealth as an error, a deviation from your true identity. You will unconsciously begin to self-sabotage, making terrible investments, buying ridiculous liabilities, or trusting the wrong people, until your bank account plummets back down to the exact temperature your identity feels comfortable with. This is why lottery winners routinely go bankrupt, and it is why average people never get rich. Vance shares his own vulnerable struggle with this phenomenon early in his career, recalling how he physically choked on his words the first time he tried to charge a client $50,000 for a consulting package. Deep down, the little boy from a blue-collar neighborhood felt like a fraud, feeling that he didn't deserve that kind of money. It wasn't until he aggressively rewired his self-image, surrounding himself with people who made millions look like pocket change, that his internal thermostat finally shattered. The practical application here is a relentless, uncompromising audit of your self-worth. You must aggressively protect your mind from the poverty programming of your past. You have to stop using language that glorifies struggle. Stop bonding with friends over how broke you are, and start demanding a premium for your value in the marketplace. You must believe, with a delusional level of conviction, that you are entirely worthy of massive generational wealth, long before the reality manifests in your bank account. And as this new, powerful identity begins to take root in your soul, it prepares you for the final, most crucial lesson of the book: the illusion of permission. From the moment we enter kindergarten, we are trained to wait. We wait in line. We wait for the bell to ring. We wait to be called on. We wait for a degree. We wait for a job interview. We wait for a promotion. We spend our entire lives waiting for an authority figure to tap us on the shoulder, hand us a certificate, and tell us we are finally ready. Vance aggressively shatters this illusion, declaring that in the world of true wealth, no one is ever coming to save you, and absolutely no one is ever going to give you permission to be great. The gatekeepers are gone. The gates are wide open, but the average person is still standing outside, waiting for an invitation that does not exist. Look at the story of Marcus, a young, ambitious intern who refused to play by the rules of permission, while the other interns waited patiently for the manager to assign them tedious, mind-numbing tasks. Marcus spent his nights analyzing the company's biggest inefficiencies. Without asking for authorization, without waiting for a promotion, he built a fully functional automated system that saved the company $2 million a year in operational costs. When he presented it to the CEO, he didn't ask for a raise. He demanded equity in the division he had just revolutionized. The CEO, shocked by his audacity, but unable to deny the undeniable value, agreed. Marcus bypassed 20 years of climbing the corporate ladder in a single afternoon simply because he realized that value creation does not require a title, and wealth does not require permission. The profound practical application for your life is to stop acting like an employee of the universe and start acting like its CEO. Stop waiting for the economy to improve. Stop waiting for the right mentor to magically appear, Stop waiting for your family to support your wild ideas.